We're back with a Fox News alert. A huge police presence on I-35 in Austin, Texas is a live shot that you're looking at right now for what we're being told is a police-involved shooting. Now, local reports say that police are arresting the bomb suspect right now, the serial bomb suspect. But Fox News has not yet confirmed that. We are working to do that. Police are expected to hold a news conference very soon, and we will bring you that as soon as that comes in or any additional information that we have confirmed. But right now, let's bring in former member of the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force, Steve Rogers. So, Steve, some big developments very quickly this morning.
Very quickly. As a matter of fact, Heather, what's ironic is that the suspect himself left the key evidence that was necessary for the police to capture him. Two pieces of evidence we're looking at. One is the bomb that didn't detonate.
Right.
A wealth of information had to be gathered by the police by that bomb that wasn't detonated. And number two, I understand there may be a video surveillance out there of this individual at the FedEx building.
Are these still live shots that we're looking at right now? No, these are not live shots. Okay, I was just wondering if there was an ambulance pulling away from the scene, but these are actually on tape from one of the actual explosions. And there were, what, 6 bombs total, but as you mentioned, only 5 of them went off.
Right, and it was the 6th one that did not go off that no doubt led the FBI to information that was necessary to lead up to this individual. Now, keep in mind, this is a tribute to the interagency cooperation, and you know, there's been a lot.
There were a lot of people working on this case.
You know, a lot's been said about the FBI over the past few weeks, but look at the fine work the troops did, the FBI agents did on the ground with local law enforcement, 700-800 officers, and I'm sure a lot of cooperation from the public.
It really was amazing. We had 2 people that died, though, in all of this, and others injured, but hopefully this will bring an end to it at this point.
Well, hopefully it will. It will bring rest and easiness to the people of Austin and around the country. You know, when you're dealing with a serial killer like this, you don't know where they're going to strike next. But luckily it was the police that struck this morning, and now hopefully have him contained.
It really was interesting. We were talking earlier about how this particular bomber went from one type to another type. You know, the first of the bombs went off in this neighborhood area. They placed the bombs on the front porches of these homes, and then there was the tripwire incident, and then now the FedEx. Mailing them through FedEx was not a good idea.
Well, it wasn't a good idea because this is possibly one of the pieces of evidence that led to his capture. Look, these are serial killers. They do change. They do vary in their modus operandi, but that's key here. What was this individual's motive? This is a very important question that police need to have answered.
Now, on that point, a lot of people, unfortunately, they come out of the woodworks when something like this happens. They claim responsibility when they are not responsible for it. But there was at least one individual, from what I've read, that was claiming responsibility on a Reddit, one of the social media boards, and apparently had information such that in some of his posts that the FBI took that information down and they had it. And that would be similar to other bombers, serial bombers who've claimed responsibility.
Oh, it sure would be. And I'm surprised that this individual didn't actually take responsibility in the beginning. But he didn't want to. But remember, he was probably watching all these news programs, and he was probably being fueled by a lot of what was being reported, which has to be reported to warn the people that there's a danger out there. Yeah. But now, maybe it's an end.
Well, apparently, from what we're hearing, and we do have another update for everyone at home, and this is coming once again from local reports, but at least 2 different local stations there in Austin now reporting that the serial bombing suspect is dead. That this incident that is happening on I-35 in Austin, Texas, has ended with the suspect in these serial bombings dead. That being reported from 2 local stations there.
And that does not end the investigation, Heather. Again, the police are going to work very hard to find out the motive. This is where your forensics investigation comes in. Now they know who he is, computers, cell phones, who was he in touch with, what was posted on social media, but the motive here is very important.
And you need to make sure that no one else was involved.
Well, that's another thing. Did anybody else supply him with the material? Is there anyone else involved in the making of these bombs? Did he do it on his own? That is a very good point point you bring up.
Yeah. What do you think about that? The person that is responsible for this, behind this, what type of personality? You were talking a little bit about that.
Well, you know, sometimes they have a bone of contention with the government. Sometimes they have they had a run-in with police and wanted to drive the police crazy. It's very, very difficult to get into the minds of these people. This is why you'll have criminal psychologists and forensic experts. Now that they know who he is, they're going to know about his background. Was he an individual who served time in prison? They're going to learn a lot about him, and then they'll come up with a profile, and that profile will lead them to a motive.
Yeah, these 4 people that are injured, hopefully they will be able to recover very soon. We know that this happened, back March 20th was March 20th was the last one, but the first one happened on March 2nd.
Yeah, this was a rather interesting case because this was one bombing right after another. I mean, this person wasn't going to stop. But the fact of the matter is that they all make mistakes. And the mistake here was a bomb that didn't go off. He intended it to go off. And if that went off, Heather, we wouldn't be here this morning talking about his capture.
All right. Well, we do have some additional information that has just come in regarding his capture. We're now being told 3 different local stations are reporting, in fact, that the suspect is dead. But we're also being told that the suspect detonated a device, and then that was followed by this officer-involved shooting. And now we know that the suspect is dead. So put all that together, and we're kind of getting an image of what is happening now along I-35. That's once again what you're looking at there, live shots. You can see the huge police presence that is still there, a command center set up, obviously. A lot of people waking up there in Austin, Texas this morning relieved.
And you know what I think about, Heather, those courageous officers? I thank God that he didn't draw them in to capture him and then detonate that bomb and take officers with him. It's a tribute to the training of the police, their actions, and how they really wanted to get him alive. But the fact of the matter is, obviously, they didn't. But as I said, the investigation now begins.
Yeah. So let's go once again through the timeline for everyone, because this has happened so quickly. It really has, if you compare it to some of the other serial bombers that we've had to deal with. March 2nd, Friday, that was the first one. That was at 6:55 in the morning. Then you have March 12th, then March 18th, and then March 20th, and then obviously today, hopefully, we have an end to it.
Which, if you look at those time gaps, that gives you enough time to build another bomb, doesn't it? So he needed time to build another bomb, and it looks like it took him a week or so, maybe 2 weeks. But when those bombs were ready, he was going. And they may find now, Heather, they may find another location where there's bomb-making material, and he was ready to go for the 7th, 8th, and maybe 9th bombing.
What do you think about the level of sophistication with the bombs themselves?
Well, I've got to tell you, it's interesting because you could make bombs. I mean, there are people that actually could get on the internet and make different types of bombs. And the police are going to look at that level of sophistication very carefully. Were there nails? Were there shrapnel? Were they designed to do maximum damage? Interesting enough, they weren't planted in areas where there were large crowds. They were either mailed, as you said, or tripwire. This was a real act of domestic terrorism, by the way. He had that city terrorized.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I just thank God for those people. This is over.
Once again, take a look at these live shots with us of the police presence that you see. They're standing there. In terms of what they're doing right now, they're on the scene. What would that tell you? What's going on?
Well, it tells me that they're probably going to search that entire perimeter. They're looking for any vehicles maybe that he may have in that area. Obviously, they're searching the, is that an apartment or hotel? I'm not
It does look
clear.
like they're off the road there.
Yeah, they're going to do a lot of searching of that area, and perhaps he may have a vehicle there, and that vehicle may have a bomb and they're ready to go off.
Yeah, well, I'm being told it looks like it's similar to a Red Roof Inn type situation, so maybe he was in the hotel.
Yes, in the hotel. They're going to search the hotel room for a lot of different types of evidence. The key here, though, Heather, is public safety. They want to make sure there's no other bombs around. Yeah,
Terry Turchie was on with us earlier, and he said that this I-35 corridor makes it very easy to move from one area to another fairly quickly, and that this, I believe he said, is near the area of that first neighborhood where the first bombs went off.
Yeah, he probably stood in that hotel room, but maybe not. Maybe maybe he was moving around. That could have been where he was operating from. And if that's the case, then in that room, there's got to be a lot of bomb-making material.
Wow. So they definitely have to take their time to go through that. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Once again, everyone at home, as you're waking up, some good news, hopefully, in Austin, Texas. This is the scene live along I-35 there, where we are getting reports from at least 3 local stations that the serial bombing suspect has been caught and that he is dead. We're told that he detonated a device that was followed by an officer-involved shooting, and the suspect, once again, is dead. We'll continue to follow this story. Keep it right here on Fox News for the very latest, and we'll be right back.